We're back in the Christmas season. Just imagine. It's a snowy December afternoon in the 1950s. The bakery windows are fogged up. The air is filled with the smell of honey, Christmas spices, and a touch of orange peel. And right there, smiling at you from the counter, are these little charming fellows, the Gingerbread Men. We're bringing them back just the way they were made. Crisp on the edges, soft on the inside, and full of old-fashioned Christmas cheer. Hello my friends and fellow Apollonians, welcome back to Apollo's Diner. I'm your host Apollo Jupiter, and the holidays have officially begun, so today we're making one of the most beloved classics of all time, the vintage Gingerbread Man. They've been around for centuries, crossing borders and ovens alike, from royal banquets to cozy 1950s kitchens. No matter where they showed up, one thing stayed the same, that unmistakable smell of honey and spice that just means Christmas, a true symbol of warmth and joy. Let's get started! Time to turn that holiday spirit into delicious dough. This dough will give you around 15 medium figures or about 4 large gingerbread men with a few extras. To make them come to life, we start with our wet mix. We use a small saucepan and add 100 grams or about 7 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 125 grams or 2/3 of a cup of brown sugar, and 150 grams, roughly half a cup of honey. Once they're all cozy, we melt them together gently over low heat, giving everything a gentle stir from time to time to help it dissolve. No boiling, no bubbling, we're making gingerbread, not caramel. We just want everything to come together into one smooth golden pool of sweetness. It should smell like Christmas morning in a pot, buttery, rich and spiced with nostalgia. Once everything's dissolved, take it off the heat and let it cool to a comfortable warm. About 35 to 40 degrees Celsius or around 95 to 105 Fahrenheit. Think of it as giving your honey and butter a moment to compose themselves before meeting the flour. We want smooth introductions later on, not a dramatic slap in the face. While that cools down, we'll put together our dry mix. Into a large bowl we add 425 grams or 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Then come the spices, and this is where the magic really begins. 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of ground cloves, 1 teaspoon of ginger, half a teaspoon of nutmeg, and half a teaspoon of allspice. You could also use a gingerbread spice mix if you prefer, then use about 3 to 4 teaspoons, depending on how intense you want it. But I'd really recommend mixing the spices yourself. It gives us more control over the flavor and keeps it closer to the original vintage version. If you want that deeper old-fashioned bakery color, add a tablespoon of cocoa powder. That's optional, but it gives your gingerbread man that lovely vintage tan. Now whisk it all together until every bit of flour is kissed by those Christmas spices. The whole kitchen should already start smelling like a bakery in December. Now we pour that golden honey mixture into our bowl of dry ingredients. We also crack in 1 large egg and add about a teaspoon of finely grated lemon or orange zest. That touch of citrus lifts the flavors and makes the spices sing. I even like to use both at once. Now we use our hands or the good old kitchen machine and knead it all together. At first it'll look a little rough, like it's questioning its life choices, but with a little patience, it'll all come together beautifully. We keep mixing until we get a smooth, slightly sticky dough that pulls away from the sides but still clings just a bit. If necessary, use your hands. If it's too sticky to handle, sprinkle in a tablespoon or two of flour until it feels soft but not gluey. But usually, you're good to go just as it is. We want our dough supple, not stiff, like a gentleman who knows how to dance and doesn't break anyone's toes. Once it comes together, we wrap our dough boy snugly in plastic and let him rest for at least 6 hours, or even better, overnight. That time in the fridge helps the flavors mingle and the texture firm up. By morning he'll be cool, collected and ready for his time to shine. Our dough is well rested and relaxed. Now comes the fun part. Let's work with half the dough at a time and keep the rest chilled so it stays manageable. We roll it out on a sheet of parchment paper to about 5 mm or 1/4 inch thick. If the dough softens or sticks too much, just slide the sheet into the freezer for a few minutes. It'll behave again after a short chill. Sometimes all we need is a few quiet minutes in the freezer of life. Now we grab our Gingerbread Men cookie cutter or a sharp knife if you'd like to shape your own, and start cutting out our gingerbread men. Each one gets its own little personality the moment the cutter comes down. If you have leftover dough, just roll it out again and see how many more you can bring to life. Nothing goes to waste in this Christmas workshop. Now we place our little Christmas companions carefully on a parchment-lined tray and bake them in our preheated oven at 175 degrees Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit for about 10 to 12 minutes, just until the edges are set and the centers are still slightly soft. Once our timer rings, we'll take them out. They look amazing. And now we wait a bit. They'll firm up as they cool. Just give them some time. We all need a moment before we are ready to face the day. Once our gingerbread men have cooled completely, it's time for the fun part. Giving them a bit of style. We're making a classic vintage lemon royal icing, the kind they used long before its use in food coloring took over. All we need is 1 egg white, or about 30 grams if we're using pasteurized, 180 to 200 grams of powdered sugar, sifted fine, and half a teaspoon of lemon juice. We start by whisking the egg white lightly with the lemon juice. Then gradually add the powdered sugar until it becomes thick and glossy. We're looking for a consistency that holds its shape without running, somewhere between toothpaste and elegance. If it's too soft, we add a bit more sugar. Too thick, a drop or two of lemon juice will smooth it out again. We want confident lines, not icing that's trying to escape the cookie. Now we fill it into a piping bag or a small parchment cone and start outlining those little faces and suits. Eyes, smiles, buttons, cuffs, whatever gives them personality. This is the part where our cookies truly come to life. You can leave them pure white for that vintage bakery look or tint a bit for details. But I'll admit, I like them classic. There's something charming about that clean, old-fashioned white against the warm brown cookie. Once we've finished piping, we let the icing dry for a few hours until it's firm to the touch. And there they are, dressed to impress every one of them with a smile that says, "Merry Christmas, old sport." And if you feel fancy, you can always add a few chocolate buttons or silver pearls, but even without them, these little fellows are already ready for the holiday dance floor. Let's give one of these little gentlemen a quick taste, just to make sure he's qualified for Christmas duty. Definitely qualified. And there we have it, our classic vintage gingerbread man. Crisp on the edges, soft inside, and full of that old-fashioned holiday spirit. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe for more vintage recipes and cozy Christmas nostalgia. I'd love to hear how your gingerbread man turned out, and what memories this recipe brings back for you. And if you're looking for the perfect treat to go along, check out this delicious Christmas recipe right here. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, my dear friends and fellow Apolonians. Wishing you warmth, joy, and a sweet scent of Christmas in your home. Have a wonderful holiday season, and I'll see you in the next video.